Hello, guys, and welcome to the show this afternoon. Doing an update on everything that's happening. You know that the stock market is primed and ready to roll over. It wouldn't take much to make it roll over. We've got a number of economic forces out there, a number of stories I'm following, that any one of which could roll the stock market over, and they're all coming. It looks like they're all coming in at about the same time. It's almost like a guy standing there at the corner and he sees 5 different buses coming in from 5 different angles heading toward the same spot, and they're all going to crash. You know, so that's what we got going on. So let's take a look at what's going on real quick here. Let's get the charts open and take a look. Let's start the charts right here. And the first thing we're going to take a look at is the trade war. Massive trade war. Let me open the chart up a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on here. It says Trump is ready to go all out in the trade war with China. And even the iPhone might not be spared. So we see this trade war is escalating. I heard this morning that Trump is planning on moving the tariff level, the bar, up to 25%. And he's also looking at to hit another $267 billion more Chinese goods with this full 25% trade tariff that would totally destroy the Chinese economy. And it doesn't look like they're going to stop. They're prepared to go ahead with this, the United States. It says President Donald Trump seems ready to escalate the trade war with China even further, as a crucial meeting is coming up. They're going to have this meeting, and once this meeting is over, I don't think it's going to go real well. I'll tell you honestly, because both sides are basically holding their positions. Now, if you take a look at Xi Jinping, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the leader of China anyway, let's just say the leader of China, and if you take a look at Trump, there's been a fight here, like a battle, you know, in the ring, and so far, the leader of China has not thrown any punches. He's basically blocked, like when you put your gloves up like this in front of your face, and Trump has done all the punching so far in round 1, and I can't help but think sooner or later he's gonna have to throw a punch. Trump's taking it all. He's gonna take this whole thing. So this is putting tremendous pressure on the economy. Now we're going to take a look at something else. The Bank of Italy. They're warning now of damages from rising bond yields. The Italian bonds are rising. The yields are rising on them. It's making the cost of money. See, these banks have been staying alive in Italy by continuing to borrow more money, yet more money. And we've had almost free money for the longest time now. Italy, I think, has been borrowing at around 2%. They're able to keep their banks going by borrowing at 2%, but if they have to borrow at 3 or 4 or 5%, these banks in Italy are just not going to stay afloat. Bank of Italy warns damage from rising bond yields. Well, yeah, these rising yields are going up. It's almost like floodwaters going up. I mean, these yields are just taking off. It says, in its twice-yearly financial stability report, the Bank of Italy listed the damage wrought by the spike in state debt costs caused by the anti-European Union stance and spending plans of a populist government who swept to power before in the summer. The Bank of Italy said the average market value of Italians' 1.98 trillion euros in existing bonds has fallen by 9% in May to hit an uncertainty of over the government's policies and fears that Italy may leave the euro. Well, yeah, in the end, they're going to leave the euro. They're going to leave the euro because there's going to be no euro to join up with. There's going to be no European Union. The European Union's going to fragment. It's just a matter of time. Okay, so now let's move on to more stories. Let's take a look at Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank is the bank that's got the most systemic risk for failure of any bank on earth. And guess what, guys? They were really in trouble a few days ago. Let's move back here 1 month And see these bottoms they were making? $8.15. Not $8, but 8.15 euros they were down to. And look, they've come up. They've come up to 8.66 right now while we're speaking. They're finding buyers for Deutsche Bank. They're buying in. And are these people loony? No, they're not loony. What's happened is these buyers that are coming into Deutsche Bank have a feeling in the back of their mind that the Deutsche Bank is going to get a bailout. And that's why they're buying in, because they think that these prices are not going to go any lower. So they're buying in, they're driving the prices up. It's very limited, though. They haven't driven it up very much. They've driven it up from 8.15 to 8.66. So it shows that there's not very many idiots out there, just a few, you know, that are buying into Deutsche Bank. They're going to lose their shirt because there is no bail-in coming. They think Deutsche Bank's so big, they think to themselves, that it can't possibly go down. The government will come in and rescue it. That's what they think. So my money's safe. I'll invest in Deutsche Bank. When the government comes in and rescues Deutsche Bank, I'll make a fortune. This is the way they're thinking. Ain't going to happen, guys. There's nobody going to step into the breach to save Deutsche Bank. It's going to be a Lehman moment, and it's going to be Lehman times 10 when it comes. And I can't tell you exactly when it's going to come, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm expecting probably within the next month or two to see Deutsche Bank go into the 7s instead of 8s. And then these guys that have invested right here are going to start to lose their shirts, because once Deutsche Bank goes down 7 or 6 or whatever, maybe all the way down to 5, then it's going to really the bottom's going to start to drop out of it. It's a failing bank. It's a failing institution. What don't you guys get about that? Don't you understand that? Why are you buying it? Who's going to buy it? It's crap. Okay, so let's move on. This story right here, the scariest economic chart in the world right now may come from China. And this is true. China is undergoing right now. The news hasn't come in yet. The figures haven't come in yet. The Chinese, first off, they fudged their figures. They changed the figures, and so they always make it look brighter and rosier than what it really is. But even with fudging the figures, still when these figures come in, even fudged, they're going to look really bad. China is undergoing a massive slowdown right now. Massive, massive slowdown. Caused by these trade tariffs, and people aren't buying like they were. Take cell phones, for instance. Everybody's saturated with cell phones. Everybody's got about 4 cell phones. They got their first cell phone likely put away in a drawer someplace in their house, and their second one and their third one put away someplace, and they're using, say, their 4th one. You know, and they're keeping their old ones as backup in case their new one breaks. And they already got enough. They don't need another cell phone. I mean, they've already saturated the market. They've saturated the West with cell phones. We all got cell phones coming out of our ears. You know, I mean, and so anyway, that's just one thing amongst many things that's slowing down the economy. These numbers are going to come in from China. It says, moreover, the U.S. economy, the real action in global forecasting these days lies in figuring out what is happening in the world's second largest economy, China. Wall Street is increasingly worried about slowing growth in foreign economies, despite strong economic numbers at home. Well, you know, these economic numbers at home here, they're fudged too. They're all in the game of fudging the numbers. What's happened is we went through a massive credit expansion. And now we're at the side of that credit expansion where you can't expand it anymore because people are just tired of taking out debt. They can't pay off their old debt. And so, I mean, it's just the whole thing's starting to shut down there. Let's take a look here at the BRIC exit. Honest to gosh, guys. Pool of support for May, that's the Prime Minister of England, her Brexit. Okay, I got it right that time. I didn't say BRIC exit. Okay, Brexit deal is even shallower than first thought. So she's losing support for this Brexit deal. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think that she's going to be able to get it through the Parliament. I think that the whole thing is going to be a no confidence vote when she tries to put it through. There's going to be a no confidence vote, and I think that they're going to. That's going to be it for May. And I think what's going to happen then is that they're going to argue back and forth over this thing. The European Union's already said, hey, you know what? We're not taking another second deal. Either take this deal or nothing. This deal is going to get shot down. And then they're going to be sitting around arguing over things until finally the deadline comes a few months from now. And we're going to run right smack into the wall, what's called a hard brick exit. Not brick exit, Brexit. A hard Brexit from the European Union. And what that's going to cause is financial turmoil, mostly in the United Kingdom, but it's going to spread elsewhere into the general financial system. If things weren't bad enough already, I mean, this is probably going to be the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of the sundae. You know what I mean? This whole thing, this whole fiasco. I'll call it a fiasco. Now, I think it's a good thing that Great Britain leaves the European Union, because the European Union is totally corrupt. They're a bunch of unelected bureaucrats, and they've tried to hold this whole thing together. They created it with an instability built right into the euro. And the reason why is they've basically come along and they've taken this whole block of countries and they've given them all equal opportunity at the euro, whereas Germany has basically got great credit, or at least had great credit before the euro came along, and they've used Germany's credit and they've extended that credit to countries that are not near as good a shape. And so what we've got is a total mess. Anyway, bond yields are going to start rising all over the earth. I mean, interest rates are going to start to go up. Servicing the debt's going to become impossible. So what's going to happen is the debt's going to expand even more. This is a vicious cycle that's beginning. And get ready. Get ready for an economic recovery. Now, I know that doesn't seem to fit, but we're going to go through a very short period of extreme turmoil. It's not going to last very long. It's only going to last a few weeks. And it's going to be like the Great Depression. It's going to be really bad. Severe economic turmoil. Then the world's central banks are all going to change monetary policy. I mean, it's not like the world's central banks haven't already told us. They've already told us, at least the United States Central Bank, which is the Fed, has already told us that they are data dependent. And if we don't understand what that means, it means that they can stop their monetary policy the way they have it right now in one day. Just convene a Fed meeting. They can go into the Fed meeting and come out the other side of the Fed meeting with a totally different monetary policy. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. And when they change monetary policy, that is going to be the change of fates for 3 asset classes. I'm going to name them for you. Actually, 4. 4 asset classes. It's going to be a change of fates. It's going to be a change of fates for the dollar, for cryptocurrencies. It's going to be a change of fate for gold and for silver. It's going to be a change of fate for all those asset classes. Right now, they're suffering, those asset classes, because the dollar's riding high and riding strong. But as soon as the Fed convenes a meeting and they change monetary policy, the dollar's going to start to die. Then gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, these asset classes are going to take an upward shot that's going to be absolutely unbelievable. Stunning is the word I'd use for it. And we're going to start to have a little bit of an economic recovery. Now, if you remember back in 2008, we had exactly the same situation happen. We had a very short-lived crisis in 2008 where there was almost an economic meltdown. And what that triggered was, it triggered a reaction from the Fed. Well, the same thing is going to happen again, almost identical, except a little bit more severe. and we're going to get a similar reaction from the Fed. Now, you remember the last reaction from the Fed? It stimulated the economy into what a lot of people called an economic recovery. It was close. When they were out there saying, okay, we're having an economic recovery, we were in better shape than we were during the crisis. A lot better shape. And that's because of all the stimulus. Well, this time they're going to have to do such bountiful stimulus that they are going to trigger a real economic recovery. But at what cost? The cost is going to be the dollar and all of the other fiat currencies. This is going to be rocket fuel for these asset classes that are independent of the dollar. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.